for thousands of years, there's been ideas for how you're supposed to be able to get over a relationship. Maybe you've broken up with someone and you still want to be with them, but they don't want to be with you. It's excruciating. It's like torture. And so if you go back to Ovid and Lucretius and Shakespeare, they have all sorts of recommendations for how to do these things. Ovid talks about fighting in a war, if you can find one, and it's just a version of distracting yourself. If you can cause yourself to be confronted with other emotions and stimuli that are even more extreme or profound or distracting than the love, then over time you may find yourself caught up in these new memories and experiences and so forth, and it will override some of your concern for the love. Ovid also talks about taking on multiple lovers. So the idea there is, if you're feeling all this romantic chemistry toward one person, if you can redirect that energy toward other people, it's difficult because you don't want to instrumentalize other people. You don't want to say, yeah, I'm just with you so that I can get over my ex-partner. At least they probably aren't likely to feel very good about that. But that's something that's been around for forever, that people know if you try to form a new relationship, that can often allow you to transition past an old relationship. And then in this book, we're talking about a new frontier for how you might get over destructive, unrequited love that is not teaching you anything useful anymore, but it's just destroying your soul. And in that case, you might want to intervene directly at the level of the brain to dampen down on those feelings of attachment for that person. So the same drug I've talked about before, which is serotonin, seems to be related to this feeling of at least obsessive attraction fueled desire to be with someone, where some people find that when they take an antidepressant drug, it blocks their feelings of sadness, which is the point, but it can also degrade their ability to care about the feelings of other people, or even their feelings of love toward their spouse. So there's some case studies of this happening. So it's possible that for somebody who's experiencing this intensive, unrequited love, there aren't clinical trials on this because we don't use serotonin in this way, but there's case studies suggesting that for some people, if they were to be prescribed an antidepressant drug, it may have an effect of emotionally dulling their connection to the person that they're most obsessed with, and then maybe that allows them to get out of the relationship or set up their life in a different way, and then perhaps they can go off the drug and form new relationships. So this isn't tested very well because we tend to use medicine in Western society for individual level problems to do with what we consider to be mental health issues. Whereas love, we don't want to think of it as having to do with mental health. That would seem to be medicalizing ordinary life, and people are very uncomfortable with that. But what we don't realize is that the drugs that we're using do whatever they do. The drugs don't know that they're medicine. So if I prescribe you an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor for depression, I intend for it to cure your symptoms of depression, but it's just a drug. It's just doing whatever it's doing. And if I haven't bothered to measure all of the interpersonal effects of that drug because that wasn't the question that we were interested in for the trial, it doesn't mean it's not affecting our relationships. It just means we don't have good data on that. So in the book, we argue that we should study the interpersonal effects of commonly used drugs like antidepressant medication, not just the personal effects. And we have good theoretical reasons to think based on the neurochemistry involved and based on some case study anecdotal evidence that probably serotonin could have a dulling anti-love effect for some people. And if you're in a relationship that you don't want to be in, or if you're desperately attracted to someone that you don't want to be attracted to, it might be that if that's destructive enough, this could be a treatment for that. But then the risk is that we're now medicalizing or pathologizing love, which people don't want to do.